And one of the cool things that happens too is once we find students that are like, their head is in the game, they're on point, they're not lazy, they're not looking at their phone constantly. Once we have those, I'll hire them. We're shooting at, for St. Jude, we're shooting a St. Jude FedEx commercial Monday and Tuesday. And this student just graduated high school, less than a month ago. He's going to be with us and he's going to get paid.
Each day at Wesley Meadows is a new opportunity to serve older adults and reimagine retirement living. It is the heart of their mission that inspires their team to provide the kind of fun atmosphere and care residents would want for themselves. Experience the warm spirit and faith-based difference of Wesley Meadows. Call 662-429-2070 and schedule your visit today. Hello and welcome to The Real Hernando, presented to you by Wesley Meadows Retirement Community and produced by SRP Studios Podcasting. This podcast spotlights organizations, ministries, and community leaders in Hernando and Greater DeSoto County by sharing their stories and what led them to serve the community. Please follow us at therealhernando.com for all channels and social media platforms. As usual, I am your host, Derek, and today we are spotlighting the DeSoto Arts Institute. DeSoto Arts Institute is dedicated to supporting, training, educating, and mentoring the next generation of professional filmmakers and creatives. DAI teaches the craft of creative, positive storytelling by providing a professional working studio environment that actively demonstrates ethics, honesty, generosity, commitment, respect, and love for one another. For more information, please visit DeSotoArtsInstitute.com. Joining me today is the Executive Director, Robb Smith. How you doing, Robb?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you, man. I love it.
So where are you coming in from?
From Walls, Mississippi.
So you live in Walls.
Yeah, live out near Walls.
Near Walls,
I'll say
like
that.
more like Horn Lake area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Highway 301, Goodman Road area, out that way.
So I used to live in Horn Lake years and years ago. West of Horn Lake Road has changed a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. We have a McDonald's and Wendy's and 18 car washes. I don't know. Have I heard that?
I think a Chick-fil-A is coming.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I know every alderman over there. No.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. Glad to have you. Looking forward to spotlighting DeSoto Arts Institute. So I gave a little description here. We listed off all the different things you do and all the different what can I say, like missions you have or the ethics, like you said. And
that's our official nonprofit mission statement, right?
Yeah. So tell us a little more. Extrapolate from what I just read.
So look, DAI or DeSoto Arts Institute, I started that in 2016. I was at Colonial Hills Church, and when I left the youth ministry, I led worship for 3.5 years for youth, and then 4 years preaching on Wednesday nights to youth. And when they hired someone to take that spot formally, officially, then I moved into a young artist. I created a ministry called Young Artist.
Okay.
And it was 5 youth bands and girls ensemble and a human video team and things like that.
5 youth bands.
5 youth bands. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's a lot of young talent.
Right. Yeah. So Josh Campbell is now the worship pastor for the South Haven campus.
Okay.
He was one of my students at 11, 12, 13 years old. He would sit out there and not make eye contact because he knew I was going to call him and say, hey, why don't you come sing something? Because his mom said, he sings like an angel.
He's so like, come on, Mom.
Yeah. And we were just, we just got together. Sadly, one of Josh's grandmothers passed away.
Okay.
So it was like a family reunion going back to that and getting to see his brother Ian and different people. And so I was having an impact on the young people back then. And you never realize the impact that you're having until years go by and you see someone flourish. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty neat. Once I stepped out of that young artist role after 2 or 3 years of that, I felt the need to continue pouring into youth. Today's youth just, we've lost the right as an older person or a parent to speak into a young person's life, mm-hmm. to mentor them, to speak truth, to hold them accountable. And
There's a lot of distractions these days too.
Oh man, I know we've got phones on our table, and I got a watch dinging.
Mine just went
on.
off. I had to put it on silent. Yeah,
Right.
and I'm just as guilty. I'm 46 years old, and
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too.
Yeah, I love them reels. And also it's a necessary evil for organizations and businesses. So it's just part of the fabric of our civilization now.
Absolutely.
And I always talk to my daughter. She's 15 now. I'm like, you don't know a world without internet.
I know, it was a
You do
beautiful
not know
world.
a world without the phone. And I don't want to sound like get off my lawn, but
Get off my lawn.
but there's a serious generation line,
Right.
pre-internet, post-internet.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I was able to be that last generation to drink from the hose.
Right. Well, I've got 10 years, 12 years on you. So, I was a 70s kid, 80s kid, and it was a different world. We've all heard the stories. Dad would say, he wouldn't even tell you. He wouldn't ask where you were going. He wouldn't tell you be in before the street lights came on because you knew.
Yeah.
You didn't come in once the street lights came on. So like I taught my kids, if that street light's on and you're outside, you're late.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we learned to get home, 10 minutes earlier or something like that. But we've kind of lost the right to speak into young people's lives. And I felt the need to continue mentoring young people.
Yeah.
And I was getting into, I'd always loved photography. I was getting into audio production and started getting some gigs, capturing audio as an audio mixer for HGTV, ESPN, and local short films. And on the short films, I really love that because first off, you get multiple takes. So if something screws up, you get a chance to fix it. But I started watching and having headphones on. I could hear the director talking to the talent. I could hear so many things going on, like I had Batman hearing. And I started falling in love with the process. So I really started researching. It's like I'm already a pretty good photographer. I've had some clothing contracts, athletic clothing. Abel Albinetti is a local guy here. Went on to be the face of bodybuilder.com. I had a contract photographing him.
That's high level stuff, my friend.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. It's pretty neat. It's a little bit of pressure, and I didn't enjoy the photography side so much because you go out and you take 1,000 pictures and you might get 10 or 4 that they use.
And there's so much editing on the back end.
Right.
The exporting from the SD cards and the filtering and the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing too is when you're out there photographing a model, many times you don't have the time to do and capture and be creative like you want to. So it's pretty fast paced. And if you don't quite get what you want, then, you're going to wait weeks or a month to get another opportunity for that. And then maybe the trend is gone or whatever. So I started paying attention to what was happening on a film set and really started digging that. It's like I'm pretty good with people. I'm pretty good at reading people. And I thought I might be able to direct. I know I can film it.
Is there a pretty good transition from, photography to videography?
Yes.
Because you're a high level photographer, is moving to video cameras a little easier, understanding how they work?
Yeah. It's really not much difference. And I started out my first music videos I did on a Canon 7D. So, I'm using the 5D eventually, but I'm using still cameras to capture that. So I already knew the controls and everything. The tricky part was understanding shutter speeds when you're filming. And we see bad shutter speeds all the time. Short films or even when the 5D really hit and we were seeing stage performances like an Austin City Limits type show, you would see somebody roving with a camera back by the drums and they had the shutter rate wrong, the shutter speed wrong. So
when it cuts back and forth to different cameras,
you just see something's odd. Yeah.
I mean, it is a constant struggle in here, sir, about proper lighting and and I used to think the highest def was the best, but no, it's not taking in as much light as you want, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But
photography is neat because compared to cinematography, there's a simpler side of it. You can pop a flash and you can do some different things. With cinematography, you're capturing a moving image. So chances are your subject is moving or your camera is moving.
Mm-hmm.
So now you don't just have a simple backdrop. You're thinking about, all right, when they turn
All
this way,
angles.
we got to shoot that way.
Yeah.
So it really takes a lot more thought in that regard.
So you're on these movie sets, right? You're seeing how things are going. You decide to make the leap. What is that leap? How do you take it to the next level?
Well, I continued running sound while I was studying film and how I'm a storyteller. I come from a long line. My dad was a joke teller and a storyteller. My grandparents, my great uncles, listened to them telling stories. So I already had kind of the story side of it. I started paying attention to what was happening in movies. And I was that kid that at 8 years old, I'd say, hey, Dad, he had a drink in his hand. And when it comes back to him, it's empty or it's full.
Continuity.
Yeah, continuity.
Yeah.
And he was like, how in the world do you see this? And it's like, I don't know. So I began to understand that I was detail oriented. You know, I see details. Sometimes I get caught up in the details. Like there's a curtain behind you and I see the ridges, you know, the waves in it and things like that, and the color and the gradient and things like that. And sometimes
it's perfect
that's good.
in here, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic. Everybody needs to come check this out. No, this is very nice.
No, I cringe when I look at some videos and I see creases in my backdrops and stuff. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah,
I feel it. Like the wall to your left, if I have that wall in the shot, it drives me nuts.
I hear you.
So you'll see the tables kind of crooked. That's because this what I'm working with. You work with what you got in the room. But this isn't about me, Rob.
Let's go back to you. This is called cheating. When I sat down and saw the table at an angle, I thought there's a reason this is happening. It probably has to do with...
You'll see the tape on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
I hear you. Yeah, so we call this cheating. That's why we have Apple boxes for Tom Cruise to stand on or sit on.
Sure.
And, things
but
like that.
The people watching would never know, would they?
They never know.
So there's magic in this.
Oh, yeah. There's so much magic in this.
Yeah.
So for me, I started studying what was going on. And, you know, I hate this younger generation because they will sit around and play video games or watch video games being played on YouTube.
That's huge.
Instead of tapping into instruction and learning on YouTube, because everything you want to know is on YouTube. I tell my film students sometimes that when I was in high school in the early 80s, and there were like 4 or 5 of us guitarists in the school, and we had a cassette tape. Some people listening and watching don't know what a cassette tape is. But we would pass it around, and it was Wolf Marshall's licks. And he still does YouTube videos, instruction, but he was a long-haired heavy metal or neoclassical stuff. But we would like wrestle each other in the hall. You've had that tape for 4 days. Give it to me. It's my turn.
Yeah.
So we had like a checkout system. You could keep it for 2 or 3 days. And nowadays, you just pull up on your phone a YouTube video to understand modes.
It's an insane bank of resources.
Anything. Yes.
Yeah.
So I started studying film online and started picking up on it. And then I thought, wow, I want to make a short film. And before I knew it, I had a bunch of the students that were my students in the ministry at Colonial Hills, and they were showing up. And I think it was probably just 2 or 3 months. We had 50 people every Thursday night showing up. Okay. 35, 45, 50 plus people showing up.
And doing what every Thursday?
I was teaching them the different things to think about when you watch a film, if you want to make a film.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't, doing 100 years of film history or anything like that. I was saying, hey, you've been wondering how this works. Let me show you how this works. And we started doing some promo videos for church ministries and things like that. And the students would come in and help get that done. And, we started out so basic with, shower curtain diffusers and bounces and things like that. And now we've got a studio, 5,000 square foot studio inside the South Point Church building, the Lollipops area and all that kind of stuff. So now we're in there and we have tons of professional gear, cameras and lights and giant stands. And
can I invite myself to see the studio, Rob?
Please come visit, please.
I want to see this.
Anyone can come visit us. Just hit me up on the website, shoot an email. We'd love you to come check it out.
Yeah.
One side is a very nice theater and classroom. And we have a couple of our edit bays are right there. And the other side is like old Hollywood. It's just black walls and theater flats and things like that for podcast spaces. And we got a little recording studio and things like that. And I know I'm on a tangent here, but before I forget, we are in a fundraising mode. We're trying to raise $44,000 so that we can receive $110,000 from Mississippi Arts Commission.
Okay.
So we're at about $10,000, $11,000 right now.
So you reach that goal, and then Mississippi will then match it and then some.
Yeah, they will release that. We're raising 40% of the overall grant that they're giving us.
Okay.
So when we get that, we'll have $150,000, $154,000 in hand. And I've designed in 3D an addition that goes over into the bowling alley at the old Cotton Bowl lanes.
Uh-huh.
They're going to give us more space, and we'll be at like 9,000. I think it's 8,888 square feet.
Wow.
And so we'll have a large sound stage, not Hollywood large, but large, for you and me. Oh my gosh, that's huge.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a pretty large recording studio area and a place to do some podcasts.
I could fit like 30 podcast stations in there.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. What you've got here is so compact and just works.
Yeah, two rooms, trying to utilize the space as best I can, and it's a lot of fun. But that sounds amazing. I'm like, for real, I want to set up a time where I can come visit you.
Yeah,
sure.
please do.
That sounds amazing.
Please do.
Okay, so now you're doing this Thursday night deal. You're teaching these students.
Yeah. And
is this the beginning of starting an actual organization? When does that start bubbling up to actually get organized in the sense of an actual nonprofit?
Well, so look, I'm a dreamer. And I used to think I was a crazy dreamer, but my wife points out to me, you're not a dreamer, you're a visioneer.
Uh-huh.
You're a visionary, and you engineer it. You start making
a visioneer.
Yeah. So
I like that.
So I will have the crazy dream, and then I'll start taking steps. And I was the kid in high school that would get guys together, and we'd start a band, and we'd go play a couple gigs, and had a heavy metal band throughout high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always the band leader, and I was always the one frustrated because other people aren't learning songs or doing their part. And now we have a group of students that are really kicking it and doing some cool stuff. What was the question? Because I sidetracked myself.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, at some point, there's that bridge, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you're dreaming big, which I'm right there with you. And you got this Thursday night thing going on. You got all these amazing students. You're teaching. At what point do you realize maybe I can make this a nonprofit?
Well, I dreamed, and then I thought, man, I got to come up with a name because I'm a branding guy, web designer, graphics, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I've got to come up with a name. And I thought DeSoto Arts Initiative, and that's what I was going to use. And then I don't want to diss a hosting company, but they kind of ripped me off and took my money, and I couldn't get the domain. It's like totally lost it.
Wow.
And so I thought I got to do something different. So DeSoto Arts Institute. And it's like, okay, well, if I use that, I have to be a school. And I'm like, wait a minute. I could turn this into a school instead of just promoting the arts in the area.
Well, you were already doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it was right in front of me, and I was so into it. So in the middle of it, I didn't see what was happening.
Yeah.
So I thought, man, let's do this. Let's do it. Call it a film school or something. So we actually started Film Club, and started calling it Film Club, and that created some confusion because people thought we sat around and talked about films like a book club. No, we were making things,
making the stuff, yeah.
And then it slowly turned into the film school and all that. But in the early days, I thought, man, I want to make a short film, and I went out with a few buddies, some of us not very experienced at all, and we made a little short film called "And Thus It Ends," about a kid, running from zombies on his way home from work, and you just got to watch it.
You got to love zombies.
Yeah. And I was wanting to do the Walking Dead, the zoom and blurs and stuff. And I did all that. And then once we became a little more formalized, we did another film called On Edge. One of our students wrote something. He said, there's no dialogue. And I was like, okay, you got my attention now. So he outlined it, and then I wrote it out, and we submitted it to the Memphis Film Prize. And they had like 80 filmmakers submit films that were made inside Shelby County. You got to keep your receipts and all that kind of stuff, prove, and inside the time window. We did that, and we made the top 10. I was like, wow, my first real film, and I made it top 10.
And this is now after DeSoto Arts Institute is formed?
Yeah. So in 2015, I'd been thinking about it. 2016, I said, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
It's DeSoto Arts Institute. And then once we got into the South Point building, they reached out to us. You know, Tom Briggs, I'm sure, a good buddy of mine. Tom called and he goes, hey, are you looking for space? And I'm like, how do you know? I haven't told anybody anything. And we had lost the room at Colonial Hills Church. So within like 4 days, Tom calls me and I meet with the pastors and them up there, and I've got a dollar figure in my head. I'm paying it out of my pocket. So it's like, I'm not going to spend, $4,000 a month or something like that. And I was thinking in my head, if they give me a number within $50 of my number, then I know this is a God-sized thing.
Yeah.
And they gave me a number and I was like, let me think on it, man. Let me think on it. So I sat on it for 2 days.
Yes.
Just giddy. Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't want to say yes immediately. You wanted to make it look like you're putting some thought into it.
So once we got in that building and started, they didn't help. The church said, hey, it's yours. It's cheap. You got to fix it up. It was a nightmare. It was a mess, man. It was nasty. And now it's pretty nice. But we started making more films and writing more films. We are a group of prolific writers. Our students, we have 10 or 15 students every Thursday night at Film Factory, writing, constantly putting things together. So pretty prolific on that front. So we made more short films. And for the first 4 years at Film Prize, we were in the top 10. And the first film, On Edge, was everything that we do. I didn't realize it at first. And now I'm a little more self-aware, I guess. But when I was writing, I didn't realize the first one was about suicide, about a young person standing on the edge of a building ready to end it because of whatever is troubling him. And a 60-year-old night guard sits next to him and eats lunch and is just enjoying the midnight air and sitting on the ledge of the building, and without a word has an impact on this young person. And I didn't realize it. It's about suicide. That's a pretty tough issue. And we used no words. We didn't show anything graphic. And this kid makes a decision and he's influenced. And now that I think about it, it's like, it's because as an older person, I want to influence young people. And that was in the story. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize that. Then the second script came around and Kyle Needham, who is with us every week, Tuesdays and Thursday nights, he wrote one called The Game. And he had worked at Parkwood, I believe it was, and he had seen people come out, young girls coming out of trafficking, sex trafficking, and the troubles that they go through. So he wrote a film called The Game and said, hey, you want to take this and make this? And I was like, heck yeah, I want to make this. This is important. So we made that. And I was told that we missed the first place at the Memphis Film Prize the second year. We missed it by single digits voting.
Yeah.
So it turned out really well. And it's made by students. It's me and 20-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds. And they're actually running that sound. 14-year-old Oliver ran the sound on that.
Yeah. There's not a lot of opportunity out there to work at that level in that field. There really isn't. And it's great that they have that because of you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I get frustrated because I don't think sometimes they realize what we're placing in front of them. Come in and use our cameras. We have Blackmagic 6Ks. I've got an Ursa 4.6K cinema camera. It's like, come in and use this gear. We have lights galore. We have green screen, blue screen. We have everything under the sun that you would need, audio gear, everything. And it's like, I don't think they understand, maybe because in this world they feel like that's here. When I was a kid, this stuff didn't exist. Nobody would invite you into their workplace and say, hey, make something. Yeah. Mess around.
No. And it just wasn't accessible. You didn't have home studios like you do now.
Oh, I died for a 4-track recorder as a kid. And now it's like we can do it on our phones and iPads. Like,
I used to have one of those Tascam 4-track
I had a reel.
Yeah, nice.
That was fun.
So students, how do they enroll? How does it look for the students? How does it work for them? Are there year-long programs, 2-year scholarships? How does the school part of it work? All
right. So this is, we did our first year. We're in our second year of film school official. We've done so many kind of shoot from the hip, kind of winging it type nights where we have writing nights and things like that. And we're trying to make it more and more formal because we really believe this may turn into a legit couple-year film program.
Yeah.
But our first year, we had 30 students register. We interviewed them. We had a few of them fall off, but we had like 22, I think, graduate. And we do the graduation at the DeSoto Film Festival each year. And that was a huge success. It was a lot of work, and I wasn't quite sure I was going to do it again the second year because I like that organic growth and trying to feel where it's going to go. And we have plans to make a feature film and things like that. So I wasn't sure I was going to have the time. So I waited kind of late in the game before I started taking enrollments. And we started out with 12 students, and we've got like 8 left, something like that.
This year?
This year, yeah.
No, do they pay, or is this all?
Yeah. The first year we did it free as a test.
Yeah.
And we felt like that some of the students didn't find the value in it. So they were hit and miss in attendance and things like that. So
you pay, you take it more seriously.
Yes. And that's exactly what's happening. So this time it's $200 a month, and it's a 9-month program. It's starting January, and we're wrapped up sometime in October, something like that. And we're still working out how summer works because of vacations, people miss and things like that. But it's turning into the real thing. And we're going to announce our enrollment for next year. We're going to try to get back to 30 students. We're going to try to get back to every student is paying, but we do have scholarships.
Yeah.
Because we've got I'm not going to mention his name. We've got a high school student that just joined us, and he said, "Man, I can't afford that." I was like, "Come on, man, I'll scholarship you." And he could not believe it. He thanked me profusely, and he sees the value. And he's one of those students that shows up. He was at the studio yesterday helping out.
5M Services, we're your comfort specialist. We're dedicated to serving residential and commercial clients with money-saving solutions, combining the highest quality parts with our unwavering commitment to delivering exceptional service to give you the top-notch experience you deserve. A 10-year parts and labor warranty is included with every install. Dial 662-560-7331. 5M Services, making your comfort our priority. Visit us on the web at 5mservices.net for more information.
And one of the cool things that happens too is once we find students that are like, their head is in the game, they're on point, they're not lazy, they're not looking at their phone constantly. Once we have those, I'll hire them. We're shooting for St. Jude, we're shooting a St. Jude FedEx commercial Monday and Tuesday. And this student just graduated high school, less than a month ago. He's going to be with us, and he's going to get paid.
So he's a PA, right? Yeah. Like a production assistant?
On small crew stuff, we kind of wear many hats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to be gaffing, and so he'll be assisting me. So
how great. Yeah. I mean, that opportunity is small in any area.
And when we pay students, I pay them what I would pay. I don't want to say numbers, but I pay them what someone else doing that job would probably get.
Look, you could do that or go to Sonic or work at McDonald's.
Exactly.
No shame in any job. If you're a kid and you're working.
Oh, I celebrate anyone that's working.
You get out there and do it.
Yeah.
But man, what a unique experience they get to make money.
And the opportunities that they get. And a friend of ours, his son was in our first year class, and he is a filmmaker, and he's working on a short film, and we're working with him on the St. Jude deal. And some of my students went and worked on his short film the last couple weekends. So, I mean, there's a community that's developing. And, something that I find a little bit, I've said frustrating like 3 times here. I'm not that frustrated, but to make my point, sometimes I find it frustrating that we are up here in Northwest Mississippi and Jackson and all the film activities happening in Canton, Jackson, down that way or down on the coast. And I think they forget that we're up here. And it looks to them maybe that we're close enough to Memphis that we have enough vibrant film community activity. But Memphis views us as they're in Mississippi.
Yeah, DeSoto County, whatever.
Yeah, right. So we're trying to, foster or nurture a film community up here and draw people together. And we're trying to figure out how, instead of just reaching kind of entry level or, someone that's pretty new in filmmaking. We're trying to reach out and find people that want to come in and teach. So if anybody's out there that can teach film, audio, music production, audio production, anything that fits in this, we welcome them to come talk to us.
You can break it down, you can niche it down, so you have different teachers getting more specific on certain areas.
Absolutely.
Because you might have a student that's all about the audio.
Oh, yeah.
Or the other one is all about lighting, all about the cameras.
Yep.
And
you're bringing up a good point, too. One of the things that we do with our film school, we're hands-on. We split our classroom time because, classroom time, and hey, I'm a dynamic teacher, right? And they're still falling asleep. Now we try to split the time, a little bit of classroom time, and then get in there and set up lights and do some things.
Yeah.
But we're trying to give the students opportunity to understand all the roles on a film set. Everybody wants to come in and be a director or a cinematographer. And it's like the chances of you becoming a director outside of something that you wrote and produced yourself, it gets kind of slim because there's more competition. That's a high level position. And if you want to get there, you need to know a little bit about everything on the set.
Yeah.
And I tell people too, I have been on sets, keep in mind, I was running audio for film sets and stuff. And I would hear a director say, hey, can we do this? Blah, 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 blah. And a lighting person or somebody else go, yeah, that's not. And then BS starts rolling out of them. So I tell the students, if you want to be a director, learn as much as you can. So you know when somebody's blowing smoke at you.
Oh,
because I've seen some inexperienced directors kind of get shut down in creative ideas, because a lighting person says it can't be done.
And ultimately, it can't be done because he doesn't want to do it.
He just doesn't want to do it.
Doesn't want to break out and think outside the box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all the big, massive, directors out there break all the rules, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Michael Bay, when he did
Quentin
Transformers.
Tarantino.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Michael Bay, I read that when he was shooting Transformers, he's a producer, an executive producer, and has all the power on the set. And the camera guy wasn't quite getting the shot of Shia LaBeouf hanging out of the car or something. He said, do you mind? Can I grab that? And he grabbed the camera, climbed up there and did it. Yeah. And it's like, yes, because he knows how to run a camera, because he did it all getting to that point.
Started from the ground up.
Yeah.
So that's great. Does your program, your nonprofit, take sponsorships? Do you have events and fundraisers that often sometimes need sponsors?
Yes, absolutely. We are, I just am working yesterday and finished it up, I think, a sponsor packet that will be done by the time this broadcast. So they can get that from our website and download that. And what we're trying to do is find sponsors, like naming sponsors. When we get this grant and build out this space, we want to call this room after a company, a big sponsor in this room, and the recording studio after somebody. And, I love Sweetwater, but I don't want to call it the Sweetwater Recording Studio. I want somebody local. Yeah. I love the whole eat, breathe, live local movement. I absolutely love that. And if we can find sponsors here that it boosts their business, gives them name recognition, they get a tax break, we'd love to talk with them, because we're looking for those. Look,
I'm blessed to have a line of local businesses here support this podcast through sponsorships and advertising.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
Great. It's all about, yes, they're getting reach, because the Real Hernando Network is large. It's got a good reach now, but they're supporting what this supports.
Right.
So the sponsoring you is supporting the youth.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's a film program. That's great. But ultimately, it's supporting the youth and giving the youth the opportunity that most will never get.
Right. And one of the things we're trying to do is, there are film schools like Full Sail and SCAD and, NYU and things in LA. Students tend to, and we've already had 2 students do this, at least 2, go away to film school after being with us for 2 or 3 years, go away to film school. And the stats on people that go to school for graphic design and for film, they typically drop out in the first or second year.
Why is that?
Because one student was with us. He DP'd and camera opped on some of our films. Outside Arcadia went around the world and won awards in film festivals around the world. Truth Lies Upstream. This kid was so critical to the look and the feel of this film with his camera work. So he's doing it. I mean, he made a professional film. Then he goes away to film school, and day one they start talking about 100 years of film history, cinema history. Yeah. They don't care about that.
Writing papers.
Yeah, that time in class would be better spent if they just said, all right, today we're watching The Treasure of Sierra Madre, directed by John Huston. Walter Huston and his dad was in the film, Humphrey Bogart, and watch the film and just talk about it.
Let's dissect it.
Yeah. Cool Hand Luke. Today we're watching Cool Hand Luke. And you guys don't know who Paul Newman is. I
would gather a film student would drool at that because it's like, that's what they love.
Yeah, exactly.
They're getting to watch the movie, and then part of the grade is to dissect it and talk about what they saw. And maybe what would you do differently?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's engaging them. Rather than, I have to read about this guy from 100 years ago. Is that super critical? Right.
And we do things in class. We do workshops from time to time. Like there's a scene in Close Encounters where it's like a red and purple through the windows as the ships are outside and they're going through the blinds into the kitchen counter. And we have a bank of windows in our studio that have blinds in it. And I said, hey, can we do this shot? And I put the shot up there, and they're like, wow, how will we do that? I said, we're going to do it those windows. And that was like, okay, we can use that credenza as the counter. I said, get on it, start moving it. And we set it up, and we had somebody outside the window with lights and stuff. And if I showed it to you, you'd be shocked at how close we got to it. Mm-hmm. By putting a board against the wall, hanging it with a C-stand, putting magnets on the back to hang knives on it, and shake it and shake the counter, and the coffee maker's moving. It's amazing.
It's art. You're creating something from little, right? Yeah. You're working with what you got. Mm-hmm. But then the magic of cinema where you can make it look real.
Oh, yeah,
you know? Now with digital effects and everything, you kind of lost that art. It's a different art now. Yeah. But when you watch like a Quentin Tarantino movie or some of these high-level action movies that do not use digital enhancement.
Yeah.
That's old school stuff. They're using, they have to use real stuntmen rather than a computer that makes this guy look like he's flying through the sky.
Like the Spider-Man. Have you seen that reel where the fake Spider-Man is flying through the air or something? They kind of launch him and stuff, and it's like, wow, that looks like a real person. Yeah. And it's not. Yeah. So we're using Blender 3D and Unreal Engine and After Effects and all those things to we start out with things that I just call invisible effects. Mm-hmm. It's like if I go out to FedEx and film, sometimes they'll say, hey, we need to film, 4 people in this room. It's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get rid of fire alarm pulls and outlets on the wall and things like that? So we'll lock a camera, we'll shoot their stand-up interview, and then in post, I'll show people how to, here, you paint all this stuff out, man. Now it's a nice looking space. Same thing you would do in a still photograph. But if someone is still and the camera's locked and hands aren't going over it, and we can still cheat the heck out of that,
And these students are getting to experience all of that.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So donations, do y'all accept donations?
Yes, we accept donations. We have a number of people that are giving us $25, $40 a month, $100 a month. That goes a long ways because we notice as we're trying to raise this $44,000, it's like every time we get to like $14,000, we got to pay rent, and we got to pay internet and things like that, and cleaning supplies and stuff like that. So it just kind of dwindles down.
Do you have a timeline? Is there a deadline to hit your 44?
There's not a hard deadline, but we have to file a report by June of 25. Showing where the money went in the building process. Gotcha. So, Doug Thornton at AERC is donating his services to us. And so people are doing some donation, things like that for us. But we have to know where the money is going by June 25.
Mm-hmm. So just keeping track of everything.
So we're hoping to get the money in hand, have the money in hand so that we can start construction and at least secure the contractors and start paying them to get this expansion done.
Did you ever imagine this?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I mean, we're just raffled a Steve Vai guitar. If you'd have told me as a 22-year-old kid at a David Lee Roth concert with Steve Vai playing guitar, that guy's going to one day donate a guitar and sign it for your film school.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But here it is. It's happened.
Living a dream. Well, good for you, man. Congratulations on this quick build, quick growth, relatively.
Well, it's been 8 years.
Well, in terms of the institute, right?
But it is happening. Yeah. It is happening.
But the institution is 2 years old, right? Roughly.
Well, 2016 we started. 2019 we became a nonprofit. We received our 501c3 letter and all that that designation. And I had paid for everything out of my pocket. Don't tell my wife, out of my pocket until that point. And now we're getting grants. Walmart is very benevolent and they'll give out grants. And neighborhood Walmart, the manager over there, man, he helped us out last year. Gave us $2,500 for the film festival, which we really needed that. But yeah, we're looking for sponsors. And, we're a nonprofit. Josiah is there with me 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. He works part-time somewhere else, and then he's with me.
Tell us a little more about Josiah. He was actually going to be on the show today.
Yeah.
He had something come up.
Yeah, he's at a wedding today.
What is his role with you?
He is our program director. And our secretary. So he takes care of, he watches the bank account, makes the deposits, does all those kind of things. But one of his critical roles is grant writing. He started out knowing nothing about grants. I told him I refused to write grants, and he learned how to do it. So over the past, since 2019, he's been writing grants like mad.
And that stuff is not easy.
Oh, no, it's not. And he's the one that got the Mississippi Arts Commission grant.
Yeah.
So he secured that. So if we get this $44,000, I mean, that's a huge win. And I told him, I said, you need to start keeping this on a resume because, well, DAI will be here. I was going to say, if he goes somewhere else, he's got experience doing that.
But having a good grant writer is invaluable.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Ask any executive director of any organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, and we're looking for people to help us. We are loaded up. I have a for-profit business. Josiah works part-time. We're there. I work out of that studio space every day of the week. And we're looking for people to help us with community outreach, just getting out there, talking to people, meeting people that are potential sponsors, could be our supporters and things like that. So we're looking for good people to come in and help us, people that are as passionate as we are.
Yeah. Well,
in what we're doing.
And I hope I can help in any way here.
Yeah.
Doing this.
This is a huge help.
And that's why this podcast exists. Honestly, to spotlight people like yourself and organizations, and then this directly it's like a conduit to the youth. You film, or it could be sports. You could kind of plug that place in, but at the end of the day, we're giving something to the youth that will get them off the couch, get them away from the phone, give them some real skills, and also a creative space.
Yeah,
how cool is that?
Yeah. And we're trying to help. We're trying to help young people. We teach ethics, just respect for one another, a firm handshake, a look in the eye, showing up on time, and 10 minutes early is on time.
Building some life skills, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Some soft skills and some pretty hard skills. We hold people to the fire, hold their feet to the fire every once in a while. I have to sit down and explain, hey, this is how this ought to be working, and I need you to step up your game a little bit.
Because if you want to go to that next level, that's what you're going to experience.
Yeah. And everybody wants to run the camera or be a director. It's like, you can't be a director if you're not showing up every week and learning. I expect you to go away, watch YouTube videos, and come back and tell me something about something you learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They see these directors they're in love with and don't see the work in between.
Yeah.
They just want to be that person.
Yeah. I don't think anyone that has never been in this business, they don't understand what a producer or a director does and the work that goes into it. We did a Chevrolet commercial. I line produced a Chevy commercial in Memphis a year ago now. And the work that goes into that is just unreal. I mean, they hired me 2 weeks before the shoot to hire crew and scout locations and do everything under the sun, and then work during the shoot. And I was just worn out. 2 weeks just wore me out.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's a 2-day commercial
For 30 seconds? How long was the ad?
This actually turned into, commercials aren't just TV spots anymore. This turned into like a 7.5 minute short film featuring the band Making Movies, which is they're Argentina, Chinese, Latin, Spanish speaking. And this was a marketing piece to go to the Spanish speaking world. So that turned out to be a really cool thing.
I'm sorry if I missed something. That's for Chevy?
Yeah, for Chevrolet. Yeah.
What's the connection there? I'm trying to connect those dots. So it wasn't a commercial for their vehicles.
It was a commercial for the new, it's been a year now. I'm going to draw a blank. The new Silverado HD HR2 or something like that.
Right, yeah.
A $90,000 truck.
Yeah.
And this band travels the country and the world, and they live out of vans and trucks and things. And this is the first pickup truck that had the double cab. You could seat 5 or 6 people in it. Had the bed,
tow a nice trailer,
towing.
So
the
that's
trailer.
the connection.
Yeah.
It's showing, hey, a band is using our truck,
right?
And then the band is sort of like becomes like the spokespeople in a way. And you shot all that.
Yeah, and that was a pretty cool experience. And I want to say too, we're not just pouring into a young person's life. We really, I'm a bit altruistic. I'm a kind of starry-eyed, like, oh man, we can make this happen. But I want to create something where students can learn here instead of going away to SCAD or Full Sail and dropping out after spending 30 grand or something. I want them to learn here. I want them to live here, school here, fall in love here, get married here, work here, retire here, and not be one of those places that kids can't wait to get out of DeSoto County. It's like, why? I want them to think, why would I go? I have a big city nearby. I have, the woods nearby. I have a film school.
Right.
I have film community. We're making movies here. That's what I'm hoping to do.
Full Sail, for anyone that doesn't know, has been a school for a long, long time in Florida. I've heard about it.
Fantastic.
It's one of those schools that just comes up.
Yeah.
Well, why not DeSoto Arts Institute and build to that point where now you're a hot spot?
Yeah.
People from out around the country come to you.
Yeah. And that's what.
Why not?
Yeah. And one of our students, the student I mentioned earlier, high school graduate, scholarshiped him in. He moved here from Arkansas a couple years ago. His friends are asking him, what are you up to? He said, man, I'm in this film school. And they're like, can I go? And one of the guys, one of his friends is talking about moving here in time for next school year.
Putting DeSoto.
It's like, oh, all right, that's already having an economic impact right
putting
there.
DeSoto County on the map.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're centrally located.
Yeah.
So there's convenience there.
Yeah, and Hollywood is no longer the traditional Hollywood as we know it. I was on the on set with Robert Redford and Nick Nolte in A Walk in the Woods. The first movie they did in Georgia, in Atlanta, in one of the big, and I don't even know what, it was some kind of factory plant, still had heavy equipment in there, but they turned it into a movie studio and filmed that. And now it's actually, I think that's where they filmed Will Trent. A friend of ours works on that. So Georgia is becoming a Hollywood, and it's like, okay, I can see the writing on the wall. They're going to go to where there are good tax incentives.
I was going to bring that
Mississippi's got fantastic tax incentives.
Doesn't New Orleans? They film a lot there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, too, with New Orleans, you get you get that texture that only New Orleans has.
Yeah.
You get that ambiance and that atmosphere and that look that you can only get there. And here, the really cool thing about where we're located is productions, Bluff City Law, Young Rock. They came to Memphis. We talked to Young Rock. They were talking about coming down and using our space. And that didn't quite pan out. But productions come to Memphis, they get the Tennessee tax incentive. And it's like, now we can market to them, hey, jump over here and double dip. Come down here and you'll get another 30 or 35%. I think 35 if you're hiring veterans. So that's pretty cool. You do $1 million production, the states write you a check back, $350,000 back.
That's
Can't
not too shabby.
No, it's not too shabby at all.
Yeah.
So that, some of this is what my passion for young people and for mentoring a young generation is a driving force for me. And I also see as a byproduct that we could have a studio and make feature films, draw some productions in. We have a film fest. We're meeting more people. We're connecting with people around the country that are in the industry. And it's like, hey, here we are.
Yeah.
Help us do this. And anybody that's got a small business and needs to make a charitable donation, man, we would love that. We'd love you to sponsor the film festival, sponsor DAI, sponsor a handful of students at $200 a month. I mean, some businesses could easily put out $400, $600 a month to sponsor 3 students.
Yeah. I love generosity like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But it's all about the meaning and the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
What's happening.
Yeah.
So good for you.
Well, thank you, man.
You're the conduit in a way. You've built the opportunity.
Yeah, we're trying. We're working hard.
That's awesome. So when people want to help, they can go to info@DeSotoArtsInstitute.com.
Yeah, you can
correct?
email. That comes directly to my computer. So info@DeSotoArtsInstitute.com comes right to me. You can go to our website if you want to just get more information. You'll see some of the things that we're doing with the fundraiser. The Steve Vai guitar raffle is probably still on there. Read about what we're doing, links to some of our short films. We've done some, we've got podcasts. Josiah does Didn't Hate It movie review podcast. And he's doing such a fantastic job and he's finding his way. We are monetized now. We've got, 16 or 1,700 subscribers and enough view time. And the view time came from our early short films. So they're out there outside Arcadia. Highly recommend that. Probably one of our best. The Game on human trafficking is huge. Truth Lies Upstream. If you liked true detective type, true crime and true detective type things, I did that because that's the kind of thing I want to watch. So we made
those are some of the most popular podcasts.
Those are the short films.
Yeah, but even in the audio world.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like true crime stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know it.
Is
I know it.
Hot.
I know it. So when we put that on YouTube, we made sure true crime is in that title.
Oh
so,
yeah.
So people see that.
Searchable.
Yeah. And I'm going to start a podcast soon. Josiah's is fun and kind of quirky. And if anybody watches JonTron on YouTube, a lot of quirkiness and silly jokes and things like that. But he's doing a fantastic job with that. And I'm going to start one called Real Rough Characters with Robb. Robb is my stage name and it's stuck. So,
Robb with 2 B's, by the way.
Yeah, two R's, 2 O's, 2 B's, 2 K's. So I'm going to start one called Real Rough Characters, and I'm going to sit with a couple of my students that we all love movies, but when the 3 of us sit and talk, we get into talking about the characters themselves, and we're just looking at the humanity in films.
Yeah.
No Country for Old Men. I've seen that film probably more than anything. I've like 15 times now. Just love that. But just breaking down characters and some of the classics that we watch and some of the old films that we watch from, Treasure of Sierra Madre to Cool Hand Luke and things like that. There's humanity built into these films. And today's movies, I think with all the superhero movies, the ones that are successful, there's those primal human drivers and motivators. It's love or survival or patriotism or something.
Old school, but look at Rocky.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's easy to think, it's just a boxing movie. Wrong. It's a love story.
Yeah, it's a love story.
That's what connected everybody.
Yeah, and he's the everyman, I think too, because he's kind of bumbling in his words, and he's the underdog, and he's broke, and he's trying to figure out life and romance and all that. Yeah, that's why we cheer that on,
and that's why it was a massive movie and became this huge franchise. Well, Robb, again, thanks so much for doing this. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to talk more with you off mic here because I want to see your place in a big way. As you can see, it's something I'd be very interested in seeing. Again, DeSotoArtsInstitute.com, info@DeSotoArtsInstitute.com. Looking for sponsors and donators and everything we just talked about. Please help support this institute. It's doing God's work here. It's doing amazing things, and a lot of people will benefit from it and get opportunities that just quite simply isn't available as much as others. It just simply isn't. So, and then for you, the listeners, thank you for hanging out. I do appreciate you listening and watching The Real Hernando. Follow us at therealhernando.com. You can find our network links at Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in the description area. I want to thank all of our wonderful sponsors, Wesley Meadows Retirement Community, our presenting title. Thank you so much for supporting me to then support Robb and the DeSoto Arts Institute. See the full circle here?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you to Wesley Meadows. And you can learn more about our sponsors on our sponsor page at therealhernando.com. Please go patronize their website. You can find that page, click their logo, and it'll take you right to their page. Again, thank you for watching and listening, and y'all have a great day.